They walked away thinking they won, but they lost the kind of presence that full, commanding awareness that only deep listening can give. Real power begins the moment you stop speaking and start listening with complete presence. Calm is your superpower, and with true presence, it becomes untouchable. Master listening in presence, and you'll unlock trust, clarity, and influence that noise will never deliver. Chapter 1. Speak less, so your words weigh more. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who says so little, yet every time they speak, the whole room listens? Not because their voice is loud, not because their vocabulary is vast, but because their words carry weight. That's the kind of communication we often forget in a world addicted to noise. Because today, we are told to speak more, post more, explain more, defend more. But what if the power of your voice isn't found in more? What if it's found in less? The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca once wrote, "Speech that's long is rarely rich." He wasn't saying silence is always better, he was saying intention is. We've all heard people talk endlessly and say nothing. And we've all heard someone say a single sentence, and it stays with us for years. That's because words, when chosen with care, become truth made audible. But when they're thrown carelessly into the air, they lose their weight like paper in the wind. I want you to imagine this. You're sitting across from someone you care about. They're going through something heavy. You want to help. Your instinct is to speak, to comfort, to advise. But sometimes what they need most is not your solutions. It's your presence, your stillness, and when the moment is right, your words, carefully measured, like a drop of water on thirsty soil. Because too many words, too quickly can drown the moment. You see, the weight of your words doesn't come from volume or speed. It comes from the space around them, the pause, the breath, the silence you're not afraid to sit with. Many people talk to fill the silence. Few speak to honor it. I once had a mentor, his name was Alan. In meetings, he often said very little, but every word was so deliberate, it felt carved out of stone. One day I asked him why he didn't speak more. He said, "If I say everything I think, I dilute what matters most." Then he smiled and added, "Besides, silence tells the truth. Better than noise." That stuck with me, because we often confuse talking with leading. We think if we say more, people will understand more. But understanding doesn't come from abundance, it comes from clarity. And clarity is born from restraint. The Stoics practiced this restraint as a form of inner discipline. They believed your tongue should be trained like a muscle, strong, but controlled, not because they feared expression, but because they respected it. Even now, when I write or speak, I ask myself, do I need to say this? Or do I just want to say it? And if I say it, will it serve or just distract? Because once words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. And in a world already drowning in noise, restraint becomes a gift to yourself and to others. Let's be clear, this isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being intentional, about giving your words the weight they deserve. Think of a sculptor. They don't add more and more clay to create beauty. They remove the excess until only the essential remains. You can do the same with your speech. When you stop talking to prove something and start speaking only to reveal something true, you become unforgettable. People may not remember every line, but they'll remember how your words made them feel, seen, heard, grounded. Even in conflict, saying less can be a form of power. When others attack, rant, accuse, and you respond with calm precision, you protect your peace and often shift the energy of the room. Why? Because silence, used wisely, creates gravity. It draws others in. It makes them lean forward, not away. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more voices that speak with clarity, compassion, and intention. So, next time you find yourself about to say something, pause. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it the right time? And if the answer isn't clear, say nothing, because in that space of restraint, your presence will speak louder than your words ever could. And when you finally do speak, your voice won't just be heard, it will be felt. But here's the thing, restraint in speech is just one side of the coin. The other, learning to think with clarity before a single word is spoken. In Chapter 6, We'll explore why writing done the right way isn't just about putting words on paper. It's about sharpening the very thoughts behind them. Chapter 2, right? To think clearly. Because words are just the tip of the thought. Have you ever tried to explain what you were feeling, only to realize you didn't really know? You stumbled, repeated yourself, paused mid-sentence, and in that moment, you weren't just lacking words, you were lacking clarity. Here's something that changed the way I think, speak, and live. Clear speaking doesn't begin with the mouth, it begins with the mind. And clarity of mind is built through writing. Writing is not just about becoming a better writer, it's about becoming a better thinker. Because your words, spoken or written, are simply the visible tip of a much deeper thought process. Imagine your thoughts are like a messy room, scattered ideas, emotions in every corner, old beliefs gathering dust. You can't invite someone in until you've cleaned it up. Writing is how we clean that room. The Stoics knew this long before the term journaling became trendy. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote to himself every day. His journal, Meditations, was never meant to be published. It was a conversation between his soul and his reason. He wasn't writing to sound wise. He was writing to become wise, and you can do the same. You don't need the perfect notebook or a poetic style. You just need honesty. Sit down, write what you're feeling, what's bothering you, what you're grateful for, where you felt weak today, where you felt strong. At first, it may feel awkward. You'll fumble, you'll doubt, you'll write something and think, that sounds silly. But don't stop, because clarity is not a lightning bolt. It's a slow unfolding. Writing slows down your mind so you can hear what's really going on inside. And once you know what's truly inside, you'll be amazed how clearly you can speak. I once coached a speaker named David. He had great stories, but every time he spoke, it felt scattered. Not because he didn't have the words, but because he didn't yet understand his own ideas. I asked him to write each story down before saying a single word out loud. Not to script it, but to see the shape of his thoughts. After a few weeks, his speaking transformed. Why? Because writing helped him discover what he actually believed. And belief is what gives your words their power. When you write, you start to notice the words you overuse. You catch the loops you've been stuck in. You expose vague ideas for what they aren't, examined assumptions. And here's the magic. The more you write, the less you have to say in order to be understood. Your speech becomes cleaner, tighter, truer. It's like sharpening a blade. The sharper it gets, the fewer strikes it takes. In a world of constant expression, writing is your quiet discipline. It's where you organize your thoughts, confront your doubts, and train your voice in silence. And when that voice finally speaks, it doesn't stutter, it doesn't shout, it doesn't beg to be heard. It lands because it has been forged in reflection. That's why some of the clearest communicators aren't the most extroverted. They're the most self-aware. And self-awareness isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn. One sentence at a time. So if you've ever felt like your words don't come out right, write first. If you've ever been told you're too quiet, use the quiet to clarify your mind. If you've ever doubted whether your voice matters, write until you know it does. Because the better you write, the better you think. And the better you think, the more your words will matter when you speak them. Writing is not for the perfect, it's for the honest. And when you speak from that place, people don't just hear you, they trust you. But there's something else. Even if you think clearly and choose your words well, real connection only happens when you truly hear the other person. In Chapter 7, we'll explore active listening and why the courage to set your ego aside might be the most powerful communication skill you'll ever learn. Chapter 3, Active Listening. The courage to set your ego aside. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone truly listened to you? Not with polite nods, not while waiting for their turn to speak, but with full presence, with no agenda but to understand. It's rare, isn't it? Now flip the question. When was the last time you listened that way? Most of us think we're good listeners, but more often than not, we're simply waiting for the gap where we can jump in, correct, relate, advise, or defend. It's not because we're bad people. It's because our ego wants to be heard more than it wants to understand. And yet, to truly listen, to actively, deeply listen, is one of the most generous things you can offer another human being. Because in a world that shouts, listening is a kind of quiet power. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology caught up. They believed that silence is not passive, it's discipline, it's strength. Seneca wrote, "No one listens to the truth if it's not their truth," which is exactly why we must listen, not to reply, but to connect. I want you to imagine this. You're sitting across from someone you disagree with. They're angry, maybe even unfair. Your pulse rises, your thoughts race. Your mind builds arguments while their words are still hanging in the air. But now, you pause, you breathe, and you listen, not to win, not to fix, but to see, to understand what lives beneath their frustration. That's active listening. It's not weakness, it's ego restraint in real time. I once worked with a man named Thomas, a senior manager who couldn't understand why his team didn't trust him. He kept saying, "I tell them what to do. I even ask for feedback, but nothing changes." So I asked him, when they speak, do you wait or do you interrupt? He paused, then admitted, "I usually already have my answer while they're still talking." That's when it clicked. Thomas wasn't leading conversations, he was dominating them. So we practiced something simple before replying. He had to paraphrase what his team member just said, not to mirror, not to sound smart, but to prove he actually understood. Within weeks, trust shifted, not because his team suddenly liked him more, but because they felt seen. That's the heart of active listening: presence without projection, empathy without ego. When you listen this way, people open up, walls soften, misunderstandings dissolve before they ignite. You might think this is just a soft skill, but the Stoics would say this is the foundation of inner clarity. Because when you quiet your need to respond, you start to hear not just others, but yourself. You begin to notice your assumptions, your biases, your emotional reflexes. And over time, your responses become clearer, calmer, stronger. Think about it. The best conversations you've had in your life, weren't they the ones where someone really listened to you, where you felt like your words mattered? You can give that same gift by showing up with less ego and more attention. Here's the truth: listening is hard, especially when you feel attacked, especially when you disagree, especially when your story feels more important. But it's in those moments, the hard ones, where true communication is born, not just in what we say, but in what we're willing to hear. There's a reason silent and listen share the same letters, because silence is not absence, it's space. And in that space, something sacred can emerge. So next time someone speaks, try this. Pause your urge to reply. Ask a question instead. Say, "Tell me more about that." Or, "What did you mean when you said?" It's not about technique, it's about intention. Are you listening to win or to understand? Are you entering the conversation to protect your ego or to learn something new? Because here's the paradox: the more you listen, the more impactful your words become. People trust those who listen. They remember those who made them feel heard. And when you finally speak, your voice won't need to fight for space. It will already have it. But here's the thing: even the best listeners can lose their voice when emotions take over. In the next chapter, we'll talk about managing speaking anxiety and why your emotions aren't the enemy if you know how to work with them. Chapter 4: Managing Speaking Anxiety. Emotions are not the enemy. Have you ever stood up to speak, only to feel your hands shake, your voice tighten, your chest constrict, your thoughts scatter like birds startled from a tree? You're not alone. And no, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. We often treat nervousness as a flaw. We think, if I feel this anxious, I must not be good at speaking. But here's a different truth. Your anxiety isn't a problem. It's a signal. It's your body saying, "This matters." You don't get nervous about things that don't matter. You get nervous because your voice matters to you, because you want to be understood, respected, accepted. That's not weakness. That's desire with a pulse. The Stoics taught that emotion is not the enemy. Unexamined emotion is. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And nowhere is that more true than when we speak. Before a meeting, before a difficult conversation, before stepping on stage, our minds create stories. What if I mess up? What if they judge me? What if I forget everything? But remember this, you don't have to eliminate fear to speak. You only have to choose not to obey it. I once worked with a woman named Caroline, a brilliant leader with ideas that could change lives. But the moment she faced a room full of eyes, her voice would tremble that she thought something was wrong with her. But after practice, reflection, and one very honest moment, she said, I realized I wasn't afraid of speaking. I was afraid of being seen. That shifted everything. Public speaking is not just about delivering words. It's about showing yourself, and that kind of vulnerability takes courage. So how do we manage that fear? Not silence it, but guide it. Start with the breath. The Stoics believe the body is a tool of the soul. When your body is calm, the mind can follow. Before you speak, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and breathe out for 4. Repeat twice. Simple. Grounding. Not to erase fear, but to anchor yourself in presence. Then don't aim to impress. Aim to express. When you try to sound perfect, you amplify anxiety. But when you speak from truth, even if your voice trembles, people listen. Because real connection doesn't require perfection. It requires authenticity. Think of your favorite speakers, not the loudest, not the most polished, but the ones who made you feel something. The ones who spoke not at you, but to you. That didn't come from flawless technique. It came from inner clarity. And clarity doesn't come from suppressing anxiety. It comes from befriending it. If anxiety had a voice, it might say, I'm here because you care, but I won't stop you. And you can respond, I see you, but I'm speaking anyway. This is the Stoic mindset in action. Not cold, not emotionless, but grounded, balanced, unshaken. You're allowed to feel the fear. Just don't let it drive. Because every time you speak with trembling hands and a steady heart, you grow. Not just as a speaker, but as a person. The confidence you're chasing, it's not a state. It's a practice, built one breath, one word, one honest moment at a time. So if you're about to speak and your heart is pounding, don't ask, why am I nervous? Ask instead, what's trying to move through me? What truth am I being invited to share? And then, step forward, open your mouth, let it out. Not to be perfect, not to be fearless, but to be real. Because in that vulnerability is your strength. Dear friend, after everything we've just touched, from the power of saying less with intention to grounded presence and the art of deep, ego-free listening, I want to leave you with something simple, yet essential. Deep listening is one of the highest forms of presence. Intention is the compass for every meaningful conversation. And in the stillness of intentional silence, you begin to find yourself again. The Stoics once said, let your words be few, but full of meaning. Because true presence isn't found in what you say, but in how deeply you listen. Not to reply, but to understand. Not to win, but to connect. Peace is power. Silence is strength. Presence is influence. You don't need to shout to be heard. You just need to show up, awake, honest, and open. If something in this journey felt familiar to you, if you want to keep building clarity, depth, and inner strength each day, then join this community. Subscribe to receive more videos like this, guiding you to live slower, deeper, and with greater intention. You're not walking this path alone. Every mindful step you choose today lays the foundation for a deeper version of you tomorrow.